Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and welcome to another one of my Dota 2 hero guides. Today we're going to be taking a look at Templar Assassin. So TA is a mid hero. She's actually been played as carry recently, but I think she's still mostly played mid, and after a few nerfs she'll probably go back to being a mid-only hero, so we're going to think of her in that way. And you can think of TA in two major aspects. One is that she farms really quickly, and the second is she does a lot of burst damage, but it's physical burst damage. And so first of all, you have a pretty good laning stage, but you can also farm stacks and the jungle extremely quickly with this hero. And then once you get your first few items, you will probably be doing a lot of physical damage because she has a built-in minus armor ability, and then she also usually buys Desolator. And so because of this, she can just dish out a ton of damage. She honestly will kill most squishy supports in like 2 hits. And then later on in the game, if she gets, more damage items, she can even kill like some carries very quickly in like, a handful of hits. And so as such, you want to be thinking about this hero as kind of like a snowball hero, but like a physical damage snowball hero. A lot of other snowball-y heroes are usually magic damage. They kind of fall off later because, they just want to be taking over the game early, doing a lot of burst damage, not letting people get, not letting the carry or other mid get their farm. But really with TA, she doesn't fall off in that same way because she does physical damage. Now, there's other things like armor and stuff that can counter her later on, and then if she doesn't do a lot of damage later on, that can be a problem. But in the past, it's one of those things where you wanted to be ahead on this hero, you wanted to close out the game, you wanted to put so much pressure on your enemy, but recently, because of a lot of new items like Ags and Ags Shard, and just the nature of her damage, she can scale into the late game pretty well. But the problem is if she's not bursting heroes down, if she's not two-shotting supports, if she's not threatening, like you don't want to walk up and kill her and she does a ton of damage to you, if she's not doing that, if you don't have enough farm to be that threat, she can feel underwhelming because she is pretty squishy. She has an ability that helps her like tank and be pretty elusive, but some heroes that doesn't really work very well against, and if you get on top of her, if you're able to do damage to her, she can die very, very quickly. So she's kind of this glass cannon like hero, and that's how you should think of her. So first of all, like I said, farming as much as possible, as fast as possible early on, getting maybe a blink dagger, deso, whatever it is at the time, 1 or 2 items, maybe 3 items, and really putting pressure on towers, the enemy, kind of running in, getting in the back lines in team fights and just blowing up supports. That's how you want to think of TA. So now that we understand the general concept of TA, we can take a look at her abilities and how she's able to do that in a game. So now that we understand TA in general, we can take a look at her abilities and see how she's able to be that high burst damage, physical damage hero like I was talking about. So first, we'll take a look at Refraction. So Refraction's pretty simple on its face. You press Q, and this little bubble appears over you. And what that does is it gives you 6 instances of damage block. So we'll see it's counting down here every time Axe attacks me. But what it also does is it gives you 6 instances of attack damage. And so what people sometimes don't know is they may know that it gives you that damage block and it gives you extra damage, but what some people don't know unless they play TA is that these instances are actually completely separate. So if we see here, Axe will tick down all of my instances. I take no damage until those are gone, but I still have the 6 instances of increased attack damage until it obviously expires, even though I was attacked 6 times. So that's just something to keep in mind, that you use those little ticks separately for the damage that you take and the damage that you give out. So that's just something to keep in mind that some people don't know unless they actually play TA. Now, the other thing that you need to realize with this is that it's also good with Blink Dagger, because when you have this up and you're not taking any damage and these are going down, you see Blink Dagger is not becoming disabled. So as long as I have this up, I can still blink away even though I'm taking damage. So as such, how you want to think about this ability is, obviously, it helps you be tanky. It helps you be elusive once you have your Blink Dagger here. But the other thing is, it gives you more damage, which is really good for farming early on. It's also good that you want to have it up in team fights, so you're a little more tanky, but you do more damage. And the other thing that you want to understand is that it's very, very good against single instances of high burst damage, like Lion Finger of Death, or Lina, Laguna Blade, those kinds of things, but it's really, really bad against like Venomancer, damage over time like stuff. So even Axe has an ability here that is a damage over time, so he can just cast that on you, and pretty quickly those ticks go through, and it's not much damage, but it obviously takes away the refraction. So, and then obviously like we see, now that it's through the refraction, the Blink Dagger is disabled. So that's what you need to understand about refraction. Very good at making you hard to kill, very good at making you elusive, but also good at giving you damage. Really good against high burst damage, but very, very bad against like Venomancer, damage over time like stuff. So that is refraction, and next we'll move on to meld. So meld is one of the abilities, like her other ones, that gives her more damage, but it gives her a lot more damage because it has minus armor. So what you do is you click it, you go invisible in the area. So it's another ability that allows you to be pretty elusive, because you can have your refraction up, do this, and then if you have any instances of damage or whatever, you can just wait for them to be done and then blink away. And you can kind of be very elusive from people at the time. But the other thing, obviously the main thing that it does, is it does extra damage. So we can see, we'll click this onto the axe here, and we see that we're doing way, way more damage with this meld because of that minus armor here. So we'll click and refresh. Now, one thing to realize is that a lot of newer players will click meld and then they'll click the ground, and they'll just, you know, they'll fail the meld because you obviously need to click on a hero in order to use that damage instance like I just showed. So the one trick to using meld is that you can click it, and you can actually click in any direction really, and the TA will automatically attack and use meld on the closest target. So right there, it was the dummy target. We can use it again. I can even click here, and she'll still use it on the dummy target. So you see, there's two targets here that she could probably attack, but this is the closest one. So just keep that in mind. If you're like in the creep wave, if you're around a bunch of targets, you may not want to use this. But if it's like one-on-one, or you're, you know, in the jungle and there's no creeps or whatever it is, and you know this is the closest enemy hero, the closest hero or creep at all, in order to guarantee that you're not going to miss the meld, you can click A and then left click anywhere, and it will automatically attack that enemy hero, so that you're not like clicking meld and then clicking the ground and missing it. So that's just a little bit of something to keep in mind when using meld. Now, the last thing that I wanted to show you about this ability is that you can actually use this ability twice right in a row. And how you do that is you click meld on the ground, or wherever you are actually, and you just go invisible, and then it's on cooldown. And you can actually use it twice. So we'll actually refresh the axe here, because I'd probably kill him with two of these at that health. So you can use it, and then immediately use it again. And look at that. Half health there, and we see minus 16 armor because there's two debuffs for both minus armor, like 8 for each instance. And so this is really, really good if you know like the enemy's chasing you, or they're going to be coming up this hill. You can use it twice. Or one of the best things to use it for is Roshan. You can go in Rosh, click this meld, wait for it to come off cooldown, and so that Rosh is just chilling here, you know, you haven't attacked him yet, and then just use it twice on Rosh, and then you can take Rosh really, really fast, because TA is a really, really good Rosher with that combination. So you get those two in, you can get another 1 or 2 in, and stack all that minus armor, and you just melt Rosh really, really quickly. So that's what you should keep in mind with meld there. So that's pretty much the meld ability. It's one of the biggest things that allows her to do a ton of damage later on with all that minus armor. And then next we'll take a look at Psy Blades. So Psy Blades is pretty simple, but it's a very strong ability. It basically gives her a Battle Fury-like splash damage ability. And actually, it increases her range as well. So without this ability, she's almost like a melee hero. Like her attack range is like barely anything like this. But then this increases her attack range pretty good. And as you can see, every time you attack, it splashes to the hero directly, or even the creeps directly behind the target. But now, you know, if you're not directly in line, there's only kind of a small little area there that you're actually able to get hit. So if you know, it's not directly in line, or if the hero moves out of the way, it won't hit. But a lot of times it's really good for getting creeps in a line, or for getting, you know, neutral creeps to like pull and stack them, and then you're able to hit them in a direction and they're all kind of lined up. But one of the main things to use this ability for is laning. So in the laning stage, it's one of the first abilities you're going to get, and we see that what you want to be doing is you want to be like lining up you and the enemy hero in between the creep that you're hitting. So we see I'm going to get this last hit or deny there. I want the enemy hero to be directly in line with that creep in between me. So here again, we kind of want to line it up so that I'm harassing. See, I even missed it there because sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to line it up perfectly. But that's the goal. And then you kind of just want to feel it out there. You'll get used to it laning over time, but that's what you want to do because you'll do a ton of harass damage to the enemy hero just by doing your normal last hits. But you see, if you're not directly in line, it will splash the other creeps, but it won't splash the enemy. So it's just one of those things that you'll have to get used to with laning. You kind of will do a little dance with the enemy hero, you know, kind of going back and forth, trying to line it up, trying to get that last hit on the creep while also doing that damage, because you can be a very, very strong laner and do a ton of damage to the enemy hero, almost like bullying them out of lane with Psyblades. Because the last thing that I wanted to mention about it is that if you notice, it does do pure damage. And basically what that means is that it's not like double calculating the amount of damage that you're doing or the armor values twice. So like the first thing that you hit is all that really matters, and then the next thing behind it, it just does that damage directly. It's not like it's calculating the armor of the thing you're hitting and then the armor of the thing behind you. It's doing pure damage by allowing you to do as much damage as you do to the initial target to the target behind. So we see I'm doing damage there, and then it's taking damage behind there, and it's able to do a ton of damage, and so that's why it's pure. It's able to do a lot of damage through all these targets. So that's pretty much Psyblades. A lot of it is like a farming, laning ability, but it can be really, really powerful later on as well because the splash damage can just like blow up supports in a fight or something. You might not even be trying to hit or kill the support, and you will still kill the support because that's just how good that ability is. And then lastly, we're going to take a look at her ultimate, which is Psionic Trap. And so Psionic Trap, it's one of these abilities that's not really, these creeps keep aggroing. It's one of these abilities that's not really like anything crazy. It's not like Jug Ult or something where it really defines the hero. It's just something that gives her a little bit of a control spell, a scouting spell, a map like movement control spell to keep her safe but also allow her to be aggressive. So all you really do is you click it on the ground in a location, it puts a trap down, and then you can either press D to activate the closest trap to you, or select the trap and press Q, and it just blows the trap up. And what that does is it pretty much applies a slow and a little bit of damage to enemy heroes or creeps. So we see the Axe Walker walk by it, I click it, Axe is now slowed, he's taking a little bit of damage, not very much though. And really, the other thing to keep in mind is that it does charge up. So when you initially place it, there's actually like a not as much of a slow as if you place it down. Here, we'll refresh. Let it sit for like 4 seconds and then activate it. So you kind of want to preemptively place it, because if it's preemptively placed, it slows a lot more, and then it does those instances of damage there. So just keep that in mind, that it's better to have them preemptively placed than to place them and immediately blow them up. But if you're chasing somebody, you don't have a trap, it is something that you can do where, you know, you're running after them, you just press D, and then you can, you know, keep chasing them, because it's going to slow enough to you know, for you to catch up even if you didn't preemptively place it. But the preemptive placing is really how you want to think about these, because you have max traps 5, 8, and 11. You want to be placing these on ramps, like even in the laning stage, you'll place one there, you'll maybe place one here, and then you'll place one maybe in Rosh to scout Rosh. You'll place one at other high grounds or ramp areas, maybe even some camps, like neutral camps, to see where the enemy is. You'll even place them in lane sometimes, just normal lane, because they do damage to creep waves. So if you want to push and you're not there, you can place it there, and then, like, you know, 30 seconds later when the creep wave comes, you can activate it, and it does a ton of damage to creeps, as you see. And so it can, like, basically push a wave and get you last hits, and you don't even have to be there. So it is a pretty versatile skill. I will mention that the Ags right now allows you to teleport to these things, and they blow up when you teleport, but it allows her to almost be like this weird specter, like Ember Spirit almost, like hero around the map everywhere. So that's one of the things. It's this weird ability that it doesn't really synchronize exactly with all of her other, like, physical damage abilities, but just gives her that extra kind of thing to be a threat on the map. Scout Rosh, slow people down, do a little damage, farm waves from afar without even having to be there. Just that kind of thing that allows her to be more versatile than just this simple, like, glass cannon. So that is all of her abilities. They're pretty simple on their face, but they can be pretty complicated in the way that you need to use them as I described. So now that we understand all of her abilities, we can take a look at a game and see how to play her in-game. So now we're going to jump in here to cancel playing TA mid, and really what I want to show you in this is not necessarily anything specific in the lane. We can see that in the beginning, he takes his side blades and he's pretty much just going to try to do that dance where he lines up his attacks with the enemy hero to try to get that harass in. And that's kind of simple. Try to get those last hits, and you might have to practice that yourself in a lobby or whatever if you're getting used to the hero. But, yeah, practicing getting those last hits, still timing the last hits correctly, but also kind of doing that dance where you're lining yourself up so that you can get those last hits and those denies and get harass onto the enemy at the same time. So that's pretty obvious. That's just something you're going to have to practice with. It's something that you get good at over time and getting used to the hero. But really, after these like first couple waves at 2 minutes, so it's been like, what, 2 or 3 waves, he's going to immediately start jungling. And right now, because he pushed in the wave and this small camp, the enemy small camp, is closer to him, he just chooses to farm that instead of his own. Instead of walking all the way back, that enemy small camp is right there, so he just chooses to do that. And you'll see at every single minute, and even more than that, because now he goes to his, he's getting the small camp spawn and killing it pretty much every single time, whether it's his or the enemy's, sometimes even both. And so the strategy here is once you hit like even level 3 or 4, maybe even level 2, whatever it is, the thing you want to do with TA is push in the lane creeps, get that harass while you're doing it, obviously, like usual, as much as you can, but push in that lane and then immediately go to the jungle and get these last hits with the small camp. We see he's already hit 3 small camps before 4 minutes into the game, and now he just goes back because he's kind of far away, he needs to TP for the rune as well, and pushes in the lane, goes and gets the rune, and right back to the small camp on the enemy side. Pretty much just because it's closer to where he was, because the puck went top, so he just went bottom, and the small camp's right there. And now he's level 6 at 4.5 minutes, and he cleared, what, 4 small camps? That is kind of crazy. That's very, very fast. You see, look at his last hits. He's crushing it. And a lot of those are small camp hits, but like a lot of those are lane creeps as well. He probably has almost as many as the puck in terms of lane CS, and he just has those camp last hits on top of it. And so that's how you can just farm really, really quickly on TA. And I just wanted to mention why I paused it here, because level 6 is kind of this next timing that even if the patch changes or something changes about the map, it's been this way for 6 years, maybe even more on TA, because like 5 or 6 years ago, the Ancients were actually right next to the mid lane. But you would do the same thing. Even though you wouldn't go farm them every minute, you would go stack them almost every minute. And then once you hit like, you know, level 6, whatever it was, and you had like a 5 stack of Ancients, you would push in the mid wave, and then you would go to the Ancients, and then you would kill the entire Ancient stack. And so the same concept applies to TA regardless of the patch. Like, as long as there are creep camps near the mid lane, TA is going to be good because TA can do this. And honestly, TA is one of the first heroes to do this. Like, as TA could clear Ancients, not a lot of mid heroes can clear Ancients. Nowadays, heroes like Storm and some of these other heroes that are mid laners can also jungle. Like, the whole point is to push in the mid lane. Even like Queen of Pain is to push in the mid lane and go hit that small camp, because the small camp is the closer one to the mid lane. A lot of heroes can do the small camp just because, you know, they're pretty weak, but they do give that golden experience, so it's good to do that. But TA, I think, will always be the strategy with her, because she is able to clear pretty much every neutral camp in the game because of how powerful she is with her ability. So I just wanted to mention that. That is the strategy. You see he's already level 6 at 4.5 minutes in. And the reason why I paused it here is because once you hit 6, the lane and the idea of what you want to do slightly changes. You still want to focus on farm, but now, because you have psionic traps and they slow, they basically offer you kill threat on the enemy mid. And so we'll unpause it here. And even though the enemy mid is a puck who's very, very elusive, a hero that has orb and a lot of, you know, spells that can get out of sticky situations, we see that he can still offer a lot of kill threat. Now, one thing is that there is a small delay on the psionic trap where the enemy is allowed or like capable of hitting it to kill it. And then once that delay is gone, the psionic trap goes invisible. So there's going to be, as you just see here, this sentry battle And so once you hit 6 as a TA, you're going to want to buy maybe 1 or 2 sentries, maybe have your support give you a sentry if they can, because this sentry battle is going to be the key about whether or not you can apply a lot of pressure and kill the mid laner, because you want to be placing traps here. You see, it's so early on, he's not really worried about, other parts. Even the runes, he's not worried about that much yet. He's putting them around here because he knows that if the puck ever walks there and doesn't have his orb up, he's going to be able to run down the puck and kill him. And so that's why there's a sentry battle going on, because the puck is trying to de-ward the traps, and he's trying to place the traps to get kill threat. And so we see the puck use the orb, and as soon as puck uses the orb, he knows that the puck has no defensive capability. He can slow him and do a ton of damage, and he's not going to be under threat of dying because of those refractions under the tower. So you see that's like, it's crazy. You wouldn't think that a TA would be able to kill a puck like that. And this is not a bad player. I mean, if you saw the intro to the game, I think his last game was really good. He has a very good win rate on puck. He's like, I don't know, like level 18 on Dota Plus with puck. So he is a good puck player. It's just the fact that TA is so strong, and if you misuse that orb once, and if you're a hero that doesn't have any kind of mobility, if you're around those traps and that trap hits you and slows you, TA is just going to be able to chase you down and honestly kill you. And so that's what this, like, once you hit level 6, that is the main idea that you want to use with traps. Now, you could place them on the runes. Some people do that as well to scout the runes out, but mainly you want to place them mid, maybe any other place that the enemy could go, just to be that threat, because as soon as you see them there, you can place it on them, you can run after them, and you can offer a ton of kill threat. And then once that happens, now basically the TA is so far ahead that the puck can't come back to the lane, then you can basically take the tower. You'll take the tower very quick because of your innate physical damage, and you can even like place a trap like in the trees like he did. You can place a trap behind the tower. I know I've seen people, here we'll pause it really quick and I'll go to free cam. I've seen people that are getting really, really aggressive and the tower's still up to put a trap here. So you have a trap here in the back. You'll have a trap at every like place that they can escape, and here you're winning the ward battle, let's say. And the enemy mid is coming here and trying to defend the tower, and there's like nothing they can do, because anywhere they run, there's a trap, and if they don't have a mobility spell, you pop up your refraction, as long as the creeps aren't hitting you and you don't tick down to it and they don't have like a damage over time, like it's just so hard for the enemy to do anything, because you run anywhere, you get slowed, you get damaged, TA's running in with the meld, and it'll just blow you up. And that is basically how you play TA mid, is you want to constantly be pushing in, constantly farming, and then once you hit that 6 timing, using your traps to offer kill threat on the enemy hero, and then pushing the tower. That's pretty much how you want to be using the hero. Be very, very good at dominating the lane. That's what you want to learn how to do, because TA isn't really a typical mid in terms of like, ganking the side lanes, but she is a good mid in terms of pressuring the tower. You see, she just like one-shot deleted the Rubik there. He was at like, I don't know, 65% health, and he just got one shot with that DD. It was kind of crazy. But yeah, that's TA. That's how you want to play it. Constantly farming, even when you're applying pressure, still farming the camps, because you saw he invaded the enemy jungle and farmed a stack there. But then once you hit 6, applying that pressure in the way that he does, I would recommend watching this game or other games of pros playing mid and seeing how they're able to apply pressure, because this is just one game. There's so many different instances against so many different matchups. It's all played very similarly, but that is basically what you want to be doing, is applying a pressure with those traps and farming constantly to get ahead. So I just wanted to fast forward a little bit here, because basically this TA has just been farming for the last, like, I don't know, what, 4 or 5 minutes that we weren't really watching. Just hitting Ancients, even sometimes going into the enemy side of the map, because this TA is so strong, they don't really offer too much kill threat on him. And just farming the map. Like, that's literally just pushing mid-wave, farming Ancients every minute. If not every minute, then stacking so you can farm each one every minute. And then farming stacks and stuff like that. And look at this. I just want to pause right here. It is... He's 3-0, 154 last hits, 8,600, almost 8,700 net worth. It's 12, almost 13, 1240. He's level 15 and already has Dragonlance Deso. This is insane, but this is what you can do with TA. I mean, he has 3 kills. Those are 3 pretty good kills, but it's not like they were 3. I mean, it's not like he's like 7-0, 10-0. It's not like he's dominating the game. It's not like he's smurfing. It's only 3 kills. 3 kills is relatively reasonable. But you look at this 5K lead that they have. Look at every other hero in the game on the net worth there. They're all like kind of even. It's just him. He's way ahead. And now he has this timing. Before 13 minutes, Dragonlance Deso, he's level 15, which is insane compared to like, what is the other team? The Puck is 9, level 9. He's like practically doubling some of these heroes. He's over double the supports. He's almost double the carry and the offlane. It's just insane. So literally before 13 minutes, he gets this Deso and he's going to be able to try to do Rosh. Now, the enemy kind of knows that he's really powerful, going to want to do Rosh, but like the hook and the single meld, look at how much damage he's doing to a Timbersaw, a typical tanky hero. This is Timbersaw's time. Mid-game, like early mid-game, Timbersaw just melts to this hero. Now, TA is really strong right now, but it's also because he just played the game really, really well because he knows what he's doing. He's able to, get that farm early, pressure that mid tower, and then he just farms up for the next 5 minutes and just gets so far ahead that he's able to attempt Rosh before 15 minutes in the game. Like, I would say, even like Ursa, a hero that is typically a Rosh hero, would probably not want to be going into the Rosh pit before 13 minutes in a high-level game, even if he has, like, lifesteal, because the enemy he's going to do it, but he's going to do it kind of slower, and he's not going to have that much threat. He's not going to be level 15 like she is. So before 13 minutes, like, he's not going to probably want to do that. It's going to be a very, very high risk. Now, maybe in lower MMRs he could, but, like, this is just insane. And now it's 14 minutes, and he's almost level 16, and he just got a Rosh, and he still has 1,200 gold in the bank. Like, this is crazy, and it's just the nature of TA. Because he was able to pressure so hard, farm so much, just control the map now with his wards, and get so much farm, this is just how you want to play TA. And look to take that Rosh as early as possible once you get those items up. Because once you get your Deso, you do so much damage to Rosh, you do so much damage to towers and things like that. We see the Pudge sacrifice his life and him go and do insane Psyblade damage to the carry there. But like, because he's so far ahead now, he's just scared of literally nothing right now. He's just like basically just running all over the map. And this is how you want to play TA from ahead. This is just such a good example of how to efficiently play TA in the laning stage, how to get a lead, how to use your traps, then just farm up. And from here, honestly, we could just like fast forward and the game is sort of in the hands of TA. It's up to TA and the Radiant to throw the game. And this is how you want your TA games to go. Because if you get good at TA, if you play TA a lot and you learn how to farm, you learn how to apply pressure, a lot of your TA games can look like this, especially at lower MMRs. TA is one of these heroes that you're just going to be able to stomp lower MMR games if you are able to figure out how to apply pressure and farm this quickly because of the nature of her kit and how she does so much physical damage and taking towers, taking Rosh, all those things. She does so many good things well. We see it's 17 minutes and they're taking the tower, and literally they're taking base already, and this is largely just because, I wouldn't be surprised if the enemy's given up at this point, because this is largely just because of how hard Cancel stomped mid. So that is actually all I want to show you of this game, but I'm going to show you another game where Cancel actually wins and does really well, but has a horrible, horrible laning stage, because I think this is a great example of a game where, your TA, you absolutely stomped mid so hard that the enemy team just gave up. But what if you don't have this good of a start? What if you don't have a great matchup? Because I think TA is pretty good against Puck. What if you have a harder matchup and you don't do very well in the early game? What are you supposed to do? What does a game like that look like? Because this is just a snowball start, and this is largely due to the TA. But it's not always good to show you stomping, because this is not going to happen every game. So that is like the perfect TA game. But let's jump into another game where it's not the perfect TA game and see how that goes. So now we're going to jump into a game here of Cancel playing TA again, but this time he's against Alina. So you might think, okay, well, Lina has 2 magic, burst damage kind of spells. That's sort of similar to Puck, and it is, but the difference is one of them is a stun. Lina also has an ability that increases attack speed, and Lina is one of the best attack range heroes in the game. She has one of the longest attack range, if not honestly the longest attack range in the game. And early on, this is an extreme advantage. So if we see, the Lina just keeps using stun onto TA and just clicking the TA constantly. I think most of the damage that Lina takes is literally from creeps hitting her because she keeps dragging aggro by clicking on the TA, and not even from Psyblades. So you might think Psyblades increases range, and it does, but early on, that level 1, it's not that much range, and it just doesn't help TA stay in the lane against Lina. Now, early on here, we see that they are kind of trading. Those right clicks from the creeps do hurt Lina. They're kind of even health. Maybe TA takes a little bit more damage, but we can see how aggressive the Lina is playing, and you can kind of tell that the Lina is sort of dominating the lane just because Lina is so aggressive here and not scared to walk up, where TA is the one that's kind of acting scared, kind of playing passively because she has to, otherwise she's going to take a ton of damage. So that's kind of just how the early game is going at the lower levels. But now we see that 2 minutes comes, and TA goes over here to do what he did last time, but he sees that his camp is actually blocked. So if we pause the game here and we go to free cam and we play it a little bit, we see this camp is blocked, and actually they blocked the enemy camp as well, mainly because Lina is similar to TA in terms of like going to farm that small camp because of her burst damage with those nukes. She can also do that. So his team also blocked the camp. So now he has like kind of no option to jungle. And now that Lina's level 3, we see him feed First Blood. So while I was talking, that kind of happened. We'll go back and we'll see, well, they kind of walk up. They have similar health. But just look at how this Lina is able to get these clicks in, level 3. He's able to click away the TA's refraction and just be so aggressive because he knows he has a stun, he has burst, the refraction is down, there's like nothing that TA can do, and there's First Blood. And now the lane is kind of just over because the Lina got that First Blood, the Lina has Bottle, TA doesn't even have Bottle yet, is actually kind of far away from it considering needs like a few creeps. The runes have already spawned, and he wants to get Bottle, so he doesn't want to buy a sentry, and so he's not going to even deward his small camp yet in order to farm that. So this lane has just gone horribly for him. This is not a good start. This is not the start you want as a TA. So we'll kind of just fast forward a little bit here, and we'll see nothing really changes. Now he's lower level. The Lina's just using all of the skills, like the burst damage skills. As soon as refraction is down, TA gets nuked constantly. And then, thankfully, TA is able to kind of get back into the lane a little bit once he gets Bottle, and he's able to get the Lina pretty low with those, with that 2 levels in Psyblades. Actually goes on a kill here, goes to get a kill here against the Lina, but unfortunately for him, the clock comes in, and he's not able to get those refraction or those Psyblade hits onto Lina to really kill him full to 0. And now the lane is going to go from bad to worse here with TA dying again to a combo of the clock and the Lina, and the unfortunately for him, the Pudge isn't really able to come in time and do anything. So now we can just pause it here. He finally dewards that camp. It's 5 minutes. He has yet to clear a single camp. Last time I think he cleared 4 or 5 at the 5-minute mark, or even it was like the 4-minute mark, and he'd cleared like 3 or 4 of the enemy's small camps and 1 of his or something like that. And then he had a ton of last hits. He was dominating the lane. He was getting level 6 at 4.5 minutes. Now he's only level 4 at 5 minutes. He then was able to get aggressive, all those things. Look how different this game is. This is completely different. He has only 18 last hits at 5 minutes. The Lina has 22, and then the lane is just going to snowball out of control from here. And I mainly wanted to show you this because TA actually ends up doing well in this game. They actually end up winning this game. At the end of the game, I think he only has like 2 or 3 deaths. He finally is able to clear the small camp, and now it's back to recovery mode. I'm not going to show you a ton of this because he's level 6 finally. He places his traps defensively and at the Ancients, and he just says, okay, I died twice. The Lina is going to do what the Lina does. There's not much I can do to stop him. My side lanes actually went pretty well. They actually have a 1k lead, so the side lanes are going well, which is good for them. They crushed bottom. So he's like, okay, from here, what am I going to do? I'm just going to jungle. When the mid lane is, I'm allowed to push the mid lane out. When the mid lane comes in, I'm going to do that. Otherwise, I'm just hitting the jungle. And so that's pretty much what he does for the next like 5 to 10 minutes. Is just hits the jungle, just gets his farm up as much as possible despite having such a terrible lane. And we're going to stop here. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to fast forward, and we'll jump just to see how farming the jungle and just pushing out with Lina, or with TA, just makes this hero so insanely strong. Despite having such a bad laning stage against the Lina, the TA is able to come back by farming Ancients and farming the jungle so quickly, and just being a threat on the map because the hero is just so good at that. So that is the laning stage. That's a terrible laning stage, and yet the Lina, or the TA, will still be able to come back into this game, and we'll go take a look at that now. So we skipped ahead like 3 or 4 minutes here, and I just want to show you the state of the game right now. Basically, there's a fight about to break out top, and TA is farming bottom. But if we pause it right here, look at the last hits of the entire game. He has 100 last hits now, 25 more than the Lina. If we go to net worth, look at this net worth. He's ahead of the Lina. He's top net worth in the entire game. And I think we showed a kill last time. Him and Pudge got a kill on the Clockwork when the Clockwork was diving. He hasn't done anything. He's literally just hit the jungle and hit the Ancients and hit this from about like the 5-minute mark to the 11-minute mark. And look at how much farm he recovered after having the worst laning stage you could probably imagine without feeding. And that is just the strength of TA. And I know TA is really strong right now as this recording is happening, but I think TA is this strong kind of regardless, because this is just something she's always been able to do. The things that make TA strong in general, or the reason why she's being played as a carry, is because, you know, she has all these weird broken things about her range with Psyblades and Dragonlance and all this other crazy stuff that's going on with her. But in general, this kind of farm is something that TA can almost always do, regardless of the patch. If you have a laning stage like that, you can retreat to the jungle, you can get those Ancient stacks off, you can farm Ancients every minute, and you can get to this state in the game. And that's just a fact of TA. That's just something that TA can do. Now, obviously, you want to. The ideal is to be more aggressive. The ideal is to have that first game. But if you have a bad laning stage on this hero, you can go to the jungle and recover fairly easily, as just happened. And I didn't show you it because it was 4 minutes of him just walking from camp to camp, hitting the camps. That's basically what he did. And then hitting mid and making sure mid wasn't taken, because if mid gets pushed in and the mid tower gets taken, that is something that's really concerning. So you want to protect that, you and a support or something like that, because that mid tower is so key to the enemy not invading your farm, and his side lanes were doing pretty well. But that is just such a good example of how you can recover on this hero and how this hero can be really strong and what you want to do. And then the next thing that I want to show you is partially this, basically team fighting. How to play this hero once you actually have the farm, the items, and you're not just like crushing. Lina can be pretty vulnerable, as if you go in, like we see here. He almost dies again, because if we just look at the positioning, we can go back, the team fight was already kind of happening. And the Pudge is staying back, like, he's the frontliner right now, and the Lifestealer is up here. So if we go to free camera, the Lifestealer's up here dealing with PL. His team's here. The Pudge is behind because he's low. The Brewmaster Split is down. Curse is down. They don't really have any abilities up. Like, there's nothing the enemy team or his allies can really do. He goes in because he thinks, you know, okay, I need to do something. I have more farm now. Like, I should participate. But you don't really want to be this frontline here. You're a glass cannon. You want to be bursting people down. You don't want to be like frontlining. So we see as soon as he gets to the front, he just almost is like, you know, one hit away from dying here. He's able to get a kill onto the Nyx. Thankfully for him, his team's able to come in. The Lifestealer comes back, recovers, and like basically comes from the side of the Lina and is able to kill the Lina full to zero, and his team's playing really, really well. But like, that's kind of not how you want to play team fights. You want to play team fights in the exact opposite way. You either want to quickly initiate onto a support and blow them up, like instantly with a blink or something like that, or you want to be playing with your traps, kind of playing in the back. You want to be playing as like this ranged hero, like a Drow almost, or like a Luna or something, where you're just sitting in the back. You're using your range, but you're using your abilities to like burst people and do a lot of damage with that range from long distance. Now, he doesn't have very many items now, but once you get that Blink Dagger, once you get, you know, Deso and things like that, then you're either looking to burst or you're looking to kind of go in and out of the fights and really, you know, focus one person down really, really quickly and not be a frontliner like that. Because although you may seem tanky with your refraction, as soon as it gets, you know, as soon as you don't have your refraction up, you will die very, very quickly, kind of like I alluded to before. So the next thing I want to show you is how to team fight on TA. And although he's not behind anymore, a lot of times with TA you want to be like snowballing the game, and so he plays a lot safer this time. And so what you want to see is that he gets that first blink in with an opportunity to blow up the clockwork, and if we just follow him around in the fight here, we see he's not committing to really anything, because, I mean, right now he doesn't even have a death, so he just has his blink and his Dragon Lance. He can do a good amount of damage, but he knows that as soon as the PL gets on top of him, as soon as the TA is able, or as the Lina is able to get his refraction charges, like, burnt, he just dies, because the PL can burn his refraction really quickly, Lina can burn the refraction pretty quickly, like, he's not the best against these heroes, so he's playing it relatively safe, and we see even there, without the Deso, he gets a meld off on the Lina, and it doesn't do a ton of damage. So they end up not really winning the fight. It's kind of a trade. There's a few buybacks. The lifestealer ends up going down, unfortunately for them. But I think that's a good example of how to play the fight, because he's not getting overly aggressive. I think a lot of newer players on TA, it's like they always want to be Superman. And if they're not ahead, if they're not crushing it, if they don't have a ton of a lead, a huge gold lead or anything like that, although this team, like their team is winning by 7K, she doesn't feel all that strong at 20 minutes. She doesn't have her Deso. And now they go, but they also are even able to still go for Rosh because she's still that strong. And I think her Deso is flying out to her. But like, because she's not crazy ahead and able to just like burst everyone down right now, she needs to play safe, play in the back. Let her team frontline for her. Let her team make that space. Look for the opportunity to go in because she's against the PL. She's against the Lina. She's against these heroes that can burn her refraction really quick and then burst her down if she doesn't have refraction up. And so you see Cancel's playing it really, really safe. He's playing back. He's waiting for his good opportunities to go in. And that's, I think, the perfect way to play the fight here. Now, the clock tries to steal the Aegis, but I think just overall, in general, watching that fight, if we go back, we could see that he just plays very, very safe, looks for his opportunities, and that's how you want to be playing TA if you're not just like absolutely crushing it. But I think, like I said, a lot of times newer players, they'll just jump in, try to burst people down, and then realize, oh crap, you know, I didn't kill them, I'm not as strong as I think, and then they'll feed and they'll die, and the game will just snowball out of control from there, and they'll lose. But if you're not crushing it on TA, that is how you want to play. You want to play a little safer. You want to play like you're that glass cannon, that squishy hero that needs to play in the back lines a little bit and not be so aggressive. And so that is a good example of how to play team fights with TA, especially if you're not like way, way ahead. So that's my TA guide. As always, guys, I hope this video was informative for you and helps you play better in the future. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them in the comments below, so just leave one there. If you want me to take a look at one of your replays, then just let me know and give me the replay number, and I'll be happy to take a look at your game, give you some advice, make a video for you, regardless of the position or the hero. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.